Next up, we have Jeanniey Mullen, who is Chief Marketing Officer of Daily Pay. And Jeannie is going to be talking about the future of work inside the employees and the marketer's mind. And for those of you that have been actively tweeting, please use the hashtag #REVTalks or REVTalks 2019. But everyone, please join me in giving it up for Jeanniey Mullen.
Thanks so much. All right. Been a pretty fascinating day today, listening to all the conversations about AI, about CDPs, about DMPs, about personalized materials being sent all over the place, about the impact that social media has on the revenue that we as chief marketing officers and marketing executives try to drive and increase for our organizations. And when you think about it and add on to that ABM and other types of technology and initiatives that we're doing, marketing leaders are in a very challenging spot right now. Because we have to deal with one thing, and that one thing that you're going to want to write down and take home to your teams is the word MAGEZ. So if you haven't heard of MAGEZ before, I'll tell you, I learned about it just a month ago when I joined Daily Pay, and MAGEZ is the term that we use to describe what's going to happen to the future of work and to the future of marketing. MAGEZ are Millennials and Gen Z who get instant everything. So yes, I have 2 kids that are Gen Z and Millennials, and they do get instant everything, as I'm sure that my little one is probably trying to FaceTime me right now to ask for money to go get a pizza. But according to a Future of Work report, by the year 2025, MAGEZ will be in the workforce at a rate of 75%. Decision makers are shifting from the decision makers and the profiles that we've been used to as marketers for our entire professional lives into a generation of decision makers who will spend weeks analyzing what a company has to offer and make a decision and expect to have that implemented immediately. That changes the way that marketers have to think about their go-to-market strategy in a pretty significant way. So at Daily Pay, we are a really accelerated growth startup right now. And we're in this interesting spot where we're shifting from having departments of one, and I got a guy that does that, into an organization that's using a baby CDB, a baby ABM, looking at baby DMPs, because we're not quite ready and we don't have enough data to make the investment into the full-scale solutions for all of these. But when we sit down and look at our marketing strategy and our go-to-marketing approach, we look at what it looks like for the MAGEZ. So historically, and probably today for many of you, when you go through your marketing strategy and your approach for an ABM process, or even just demand gen funnels, you may be looking at things by saying, okay, here's my funnel, here's the content that I have, here's the material that I have to enable sales, where are my dark spots? And if you haven't done that, I suggest you do it, because it's probably one of the most telling exercises that any marketer can do. What you typically find, and we found this when I was the chief marketing officer of Mercer, was you start out at the top of the funnel with tremendous amounts of insights and opinions and technologies and a data stack that supports the beginning of the funnel, getting people interested. Then you end up in this black hole in the middle of the funnel. You know, when you're looking at consideration, there's not enough materials that are readily available through digital means or even through non-digital means to help your buyer and your prospect make a decision, because you hope that the sales team starts to get involved in. And then when you move to the end of the funnel after you've closed a deal, again, a plethora of welcome, a plethora of onboarding, a plethora of information and insights that will help you get started with a client in the right way. But typically there's that gray area or the black hole in between. When you do this process and think about people who demand instant everything, it gives you a completely different perspective. So when you look at the future of work, we absolutely have to rely on AI. We absolutely have to look at what our brand proposition is, because without those 2 elements, we're kind of dead in the water. Yet, We also have to relook at things from an instant access standpoint. So today, when your prospect comes online, goes to your website, or even goes to social, it's no longer good enough to just put a link and a sign-up form where you can request a demo. Because if I request a demo on a Friday night at 7:30 because I'm still in the office late for a project that I want, and I don't hear back from somebody right away, even though it's Friday at 7:30 and the weekend started and it's the summer, I'm going to assume that the company's not interested in my business. Now, over the weekend, I had time here and there. I found another solution and an alternative that is using AI, that is using automation platforms that are going to enable me to get some response immediately that says, great, we are looking forward to talking to you. Let's try and figure out how we move the calendar. And that's the beginning of what a MAGEZ wants. They want instant access to everything. But when I said you need to have it available on social media, I meant it, because social media, whether you're leveraging LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, or even Snapchat for some sort of filters, or Facebook, if you're that old and antiquated in your outreach, you still need to have the opportunity for people to get in touch with you immediately. So that's what the MAGEZ wants. They want instant access, but they need it to be personalized. So I love the targeting slide when you're looking at creating your target contacts and who are they, because what a MAGEZ wants is they just don't want you to reach them based on where they live, what industry they're in. They expect you to now converse with them when they're not working. So I don't mean that you walk into the nail salon or onto a golf course and sit down with them and say, hey, was wondering what your ABM strategy was wondering if you were in the market for a server. No. What it means is MAGEZ are always doing research. The MAGEZ is always looking at insights and information as they go through their normal day. So that means you need to have a very strategic partnership strategy. Now, there's 3 types of partnership strategies that we work with at Daily Pay and that I've used over the years, whether it was Mercer, or Jeanniey, or JCPenney, Barnes & Noble, any of those, and they work really well still with the MAGEZ. The first one is traditional. We all need to do traditional partnerships. We need to align ourselves with organizations where the business targets make sense, and we have to pay for those. But the second type is called unique. So the unique partnerships are things that your competitors wouldn't typically think of. What kind of partnership makes sense for your organization? So Daily Pay, if you don't know what it is a technology that integrates with payroll software that gives employees the ability to access wages they earn immediately. So it's kind of cool. What it does is it reduces turnover, because if I can see that I made $300 and I can access 50 of it when I need it and don't need to wait for payday, that's awesome. It increases talent acquisition, but most importantly, what it does is it increases productivity at companies because there's transparency. So while Daily Pay is a technology platform that integrates with payroll companies, Daily Pay to the larger population reduces stress. It also reduces any sort of concern around workplace culture because it creates a better environment to work in. So when we look at unique partnerships, we're looking at partnerships that we can do with companies that reduce stress. So the guys over in the marketplace at PFL, they have this demo box that they were showing me earlier, and it has this voodoo doll in it. And I can't remember exactly what they called it. I think it was called the Damn It doll, where you pick it up and you just start slamming it on the table. It's a stress releaser. But those are the types of things that MAGEZ would appreciate. So partnerships with yoga companies, where you're walking out of your hot yoga class and you've come in and you see 5 ways. Now, you've just de-stressed. Here's 5 ways to de-stress in your workplace. And for us, one of them could be, offering instant access to earn wages. So there's unique partnerships that really change the game for marketers. So as a marketer, when you're looking at what you need to do for the future of revenue generation, you've got to align it with the future of your buyer. And we're seeing this significant shift in who the buyer is. So it's a great opportunity to take a step back right now when you all go back to your offices, take a look at your tech stack and the flexibility around it, and ask your tech team one question. How flexible is this technology upgrade, and how transparent can this technology make our communications with customers. Align it against a MAGEZ-based strategy and make sure that you're building a go-to-market strategy that works in a bulletproof way for the future of decision makers. It's fascinating to understand when you're looking at the MAGEZ and how this all works on how social plays a role. And there is a huge debate on social marketing. As a B2B company, should your social channel show what happens inside the organization? Should your social channel support research and white papers that you've come up with? Should your social channel do something else? How does social actually work? And big debates on, does social drive demand gen? And it's interesting because historically, with Gen X or baby boomer buyers, social is a nice supplement to the purchasing process. You see something, it triggers you to maybe go to the website, to make a phone call, to send an email, to check it out. But with the MAGEZ, social media is absolutely the way to close the deal. So what's interesting is I've seen smart companies leveraging social media for MAGEZ in a way where they can actually close a B2B deal almost through Instagram. And when I was at Mercer, we looked at our social media channel. We had two. We had one that was built for external baby boomers and Gen X decision makers. You got your traditional white papers. And then we had one that was built for the internal company, specifically sending a message of what I call AIR, which is a message that was authentic, inspirational, and relatable. And the messages there came from employees about why they loved working at Mercer that weren't driven by any marketing conversation or script. We just said, hey, if you work at Mercer, if you're one of the 23,000 employees, here's this Instagram channel, and you can talk about what you love about it, why you love the flexible schedule, why you love this, why you love the benefits, why you love working with these clients. And that channel, during the World Economic Forum, saw more demand gen than any other social channel that we had. So it's an interesting strategy when you're looking at how social plays a role from an authentic and a relatable standpoint. And it's something that you want to take back when you're looking at what your MAGEZ strategy is for the future of work. I think it's very interesting to talk about, to hear the story about the guns and all the mistakes that are made, because when you're building the MAGEZ strategy, one of the challenges that you're going to run into is you're going to make mistakes. You're going to send out some sort of campaign. You're going to try and do something that's on-demand payment. You're going to think something along the lines of, well, if I put a calculator on my website, isn't that instant access and instant gratification? And not necessarily. What we've seen with MAGEZ, and we've seen this at Daily Pay especially, is they really love interpersonal conversations. Conversations like this, where you have the opportunity to see the person. So back in the 90s, from a marketing standpoint, when we put a lot of our dollars and budgets into events, and then we took it all out and we moved it all into digital as we got into the 2000s. Today, we're looking at reinvesting in events, but more experiential events where we can have conversations and one-to-one dialogues with the MAGEZ that are the buyers, because it drives such a unique experience that they don't typically have, since they're spending 3 hours a day at work on social. And I'll end with a few stats. I saw this recent study that said today's worker is spending between 1 and 3 hours a day on personal social media at work. But don't worry, they're not being less productive, because when they go home, they're spending 1 to 3 hours at home doing work that they didn't get done during the day. And the reason why this stat came about was they were saying that while people are at work, they're typically surrounded by a group of like-minded people in their tribe or their community, and they feel like they're being more productive when they can do face-to-face social, which means sitting there in front of Facebook or Instagram and saying, oh my God, did you see that Miley and Liam got divorced? Like, I had no idea. Where you can say it to 3 people and put it on your social network at the same time. And when you go home at work, you have the quiet. When you go home, you have the quiet time at work where you get to think about it. It's a totally different way of thinking. It's a totally different way of working. And as marketers, it's our responsibility to embrace that now and start to plan for the future. So when you're looking at your strategies, think of the MAGEZ. Do your content funnel. Look at where you can create interactive experiences, immediate responses, leverage AI, build your tech stack in a flexible way to support it, and keep trying. And I think if you do that, you will be super successful. Thank you.